Hello, my name is Randy Schekman, and I'm a professor in the Department of Molecular and Cell Biology at the University of California, Berkeley. I'm also an investigator of the Howard Hughes Medical Institute. I'm pleased to introduce your meeting with an opening remark on behalf of my friend and colleague, your colleague, Ian Tiganyanu, whom I had the pleasure of meeting in Chechnya and in Moldova late last year on my first trip to what was the homeland of my grandparents on my mother's side, who came from a small village just at the northwest corner of Moldova, Lipkani, just across the border from Ukraine. I had a wonderful experience both in Chechnya and in Lipkani, and I'm grateful to Professor Tiganyanu and his colleagues for the hospitality that they extended to me. On the occasion of this ceremony, the opening remarks that are going to be broadcast simultaneously in the conference hall of the Romanian Academy and the Blue Hall of the Academy of Sciences in Moldova, where I had the opportunity to make an address during my visit. I want to speak briefly about the subject of your conference, which is the promotion of Romanian science in the context of Europe. I unfortunately have never been to Romania. I expect to be there in a year or two ahead. And also, of course, I hope to be able to visit Ukraine, which is where my grandparents on my father's side immigrated in the early 20th century. Let me be very specific, though, about the scientific influence that Romanian science has had on me, and that is through the giant of modern cell biology, Professor George Palade. Let me make some brief remarks about Dr. Palade, and I have some slides for that. Dr. Palade was instrumental in the birth of modern cell biology, using the tool shown where he's shown seated here, the electron microscope. He was able to visualize the structures within cells, particularly in the pancreas in animals, and by extrapolation into humans, and to deduce in a series of brilliant experiments the path that is taken by molecules such as insulin or enzymes that aid in digestion as they are synthesized within the cell, and they progress from step to step, ultimately to be secreted outside of the cell and then to circulate in the body. His triumph concluded with the award of the Nobel Prize in 1974 and an article that was published in Science magazine late the next year on the triumph of his work and the tools that he and his colleagues at the Rockefeller University developed to make the discoveries they did. This was influential in my career because I had just started as a postdoctoral fellow at the University of California, San Diego in 1974, when Dr. Palade traveled directly from Stockholm after he received the prize to San Diego to give a lecture to the group of the American Society for Cell Biology, where he talked about this work and greatly influenced me and the choice of my own research career, which was to follow his pioneering effort and to discover the mechanisms that underlie the stages in the pathway that he discovered and elucidated. Although I never studied directly with Dr. Palade, he was a close friend and colleague of my PhD mentor, Dr. Arthur Kornberg. And so I first met Palade when I was a graduate student. And then I saw him deliver that lecture, his virtually Nobel lecture. And then a few years later, when I began my career, he came to UC Berkeley to give a couple of honorific lectures. And I was able on that occasion to tell him about my work. And he was instrumental in pushing me forward and encouraging me. Not only then, but at many stages in the rest of my career, I had opportunities to visit with Dr. Palade, particularly after he moved in 1975 to become a professor at the University of California, San Diego. Near the end of his career, there was a symposium in his honor where I was able to speak and meet him and his wife, Marilyn Farquhar. He was, at this point, in his late 80s or early 90s, and yet he was still sharp, and he addressed the group at the end of the symposium. But he was in decline and clearly still engaged, but at this point, just noting the progress that others were making in his footsteps. The year he died, just before then, some months earlier, I had the pleasure of delivering a lecture in his honor at Yale, where he had been a professor of cell biology in the years after he left the Rockefeller University, but before he moved to San Diego. He was not in attendance at this time because he was at home in San Diego, ill and not able to travel, but it was my pleasure to speak in his honor on this occasion. Now, of course, then he died later that year, and I had the privilege of writing the piece in his honor for Science magazine, a retrospective that was published in October of that year, just after he died. He was a giant of a scientist, and I miss him all the time. He had a spirit and collegiality and charm and depth of knowledge and scholarship that was unmatched then and certainly unmatched now. He is the legacy, in my mind, of what Romanian science can be and what I would hope you can aspire to in the future as Romanian science and Moldovan science join forces, hopefully, and move forward in the context of Europe. It is essential that the memory of Palade and the standards that he developed carry on that tradition of scholarship in your countries. And if I am at all able to help in this way in the future, I'll be happy to do so. But on this occasion, enjoy the ceremony and the symposium and the friendship and scholarship that you share, and which I salute to you on this occasion. Thank you for your attention and have a great meeting.